I just want my family to be safe, so having a fire sprinkler system in the house really gives me peace of mind for when we're sleeping at night.
We also have my mother-in-law living here, and so we want to make it safe for her. The fire sprinklers are truly going to keep our family safe.
Homeowners have never been as aware of security and safety as they are now.
You know, when we look at adding an amenity like sprinklers in the homes, you know, we first start with our consumers, and so we're always looking for advantages that we can offer our buyers. And we know from our past experience that the more that these systems are installed, the cost will go down. And I can foresee, you know, in just a few years, every home that'll be built will have these systems installed in it. We think it is a smart business decision.
Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton. As I've often reported on Good Morning America, a home fire can be a devastating tragedy. The damage from smoke, fire, and water can be catastrophic. Families are uprooted, the aftermath is unimaginable, and sadly, in many cases, there is loss of life. The majority of fatal home fires occur at night when we're sleeping. It can all happen so quickly. A fire can reach deadly proportions in as little as 3 minutes.
Well, in a typical fire at a house, I think a lot of people are under the impression that we're there in 2, 3, 4 minutes, and it's just not true. Once you discover the fire and call the fire department and we respond, you're talking not 4 to 7 minutes, but 7 to 12 minutes before we arrive on the scene of a fire.
These are deadly conditions for anyone still inside the home, and if occupants were able to escape, the home is likely to be a total loss after burning that long.
New homes do burn. We can build homes and buildings that are going to last for hundreds of years. The problem comes when we start putting people inside those buildings. Most of the fires that we see are caused by the activities that the people are doing inside their home.
Smoke alarms warn people of fire. Sprinklers actually control it, suppress it, and usually extinguish it before firefighters even arrive on the scene. Fire sprinklers provide a level of protection that no other technology can offer. Each sprinkler is individually activated by the high heat from flames. In about 90% of fires in homes with sprinklers, only one sprinkler is needed to control the fire. When activated, the sprinkler will control or put out the flames, minimize the spread of deadly smoke and gases, and give the family inside additional time to escape safely.
Apparently, there was an electrical short, and that's what started the fire. That fire was so fast and so furious. The sprinkler system was activated, so it responded immediately to the flames, to the smoke. Our house is still standing, we're still all alive, including our pets, and so it was an enormous success.
Fire sprinklers will often confine smoke, heat, and fire damage to a single room. The water flow from sprinklers is only a fraction of the water damage caused by the high-powered hoses used by firefighters.
An added benefit is decreasing the risk that our firefighters are going to have to go into once they do arrive at the scene of that fire.
Simply put, fire sprinklers protect property and, more importantly, save lives. That's why I've installed them in my home. This is a new development of 200 homes. We're just down the street from the finished home. At this house, the fire sprinkler system has been roughed in. It'll give us a good chance to see a typical residential fire sprinkler installation. The national standard for home fire sprinklers is the National Fire Protection Association standard, NFPA 13D. Now, the standard is intended primarily to save lives, but it can also dramatically reduce property damage. The goal is to provide 10 minutes of sprinkler water on a fire to allow the occupants to escape and the fire department to respond. Under NFPA 13D, sprinklers are installed in living areas. This means that they are not required in smaller bathrooms, closets, garages, carports, attached open areas, attics, and concealed spaces that are not used for living. Now, many local authorities have requirements that exceed the minimum established by NFPA 13D. As with all codes, you must take care to determine and adhere to local fire codes. These requirements may differ from community to community. There are two common types of fire sprinkler systems, both acceptable under NFPA 13D. The first is an independent or standalone system, and that's what's being installed in this house. Here, for example, you can see the plastic sprinkler pipe, and back there the copper pipe for the domestic water supply. The second is a multi-purpose or network system. This system feeds both the sprinklers and the cold water fixtures with the same pipes. What you notice is a large number of smaller pipes that run to various locations of the home, supplying the sprinklers and the cold water fixtures. We're in a two-story house with a full basement in the Midwest. Now, in this case, the water source is the municipal water supply. That means the 10-minute duration required by NFPA 13D really shouldn't be a problem. The water will always be available when it's needed and should never run out. Now, if you're not on a municipal water supply, for example, if you have a well or your water pressure is very low, then you'll need a tank and a pump to provide that pressure. The fire sprinkler system attaches to the main water supply right here at this T. Then it passes through a backflow valve, up into this riser, through a pressure gauge, finally through a flow switch and alarm. Now, over here is the drain and test assembly. The flow switch detects any water flow through the system and is wired to an inside alarm bell. The flow switch can also be wired to an outside horn or strobe to alert neighbors to sprinkler activation in case fire strikes when no one is at home, or to a monitored security system. While NFPA 13D does not require water flow alarms, this is one area where many local jurisdictions have additional requirements. Backflow prevention devices intended to isolate the sprinkler system from the household water supply are also required in many local jurisdictions. However, backflow prevention devices and water meters can reduce the amount of pressure available to the system. Therefore, larger taps and water meters of at least 1 inch should be installed. I strongly recommend you sit down with the Water Authority in the early stages of planning. That's the best time to discuss tap and meter sizes and any backflow issues.
From a builder standpoint and a developer standpoint, if you can put fire sprinkler systems in homes and reduce the amount of infrastructure that is required from the local jurisdiction, it's clearly a win-win situation for everybody involved.
It pays to have an early planning meeting with the fire service as well. They, more than anyone else, appreciate the life-saving value of fire sprinklers. You're likely to find local officials receptive and accommodating to your plans for fire sprinklers. In a moment, we'll talk in more detail about trade-ups, incentives, and alternatives for subdivision plans that can significantly reduce land development and construction costs in exchange for sprinklered homes. Right now, though, let's continue our walkthrough of this standard sprinkler installation. Plastic or copper pipe is used in unfinished basements like this one. The contractor chose copper for this system. In the finished spaces throughout the rest of the house, plastic chloropolyvinyl chloride, or CPVC pipe, can be used. With CPVC, a special glue secures the connections, so there are no more sweating copper joints or threading steel pipe problems. Plastic pipe has really simplified installation and made sprinkler systems much more cost-effective. In multi-purpose systems, those where the sprinklers and cold water fixtures are fed with the same pipes, another type of non-metallic pipe called PEX is also approved for use. In this house, 7 pendant fire sprinklers provide coverage for the entire basement, and that's typical. Now let's move upstairs. We have the 1-inch CPVC riser passing through an interior wall going up to the first and second floor. Now here on the first floor, the sprinklers will be concealed in the ceiling. Let's go back to the other house to see how they'll look in a finished home. Now here at the finished house, you can see how well the sprinkler cover plate blends into the ceiling. It's smaller than a smoke alarm and less obvious than a light fixture. Now if there's a fire, that heat-sensitive plate just drops away. Each installed sprinkler covers an area at least 12 by 12 feet. Now this house has extended coverage sprinklers, and they cover up to 20 by 20 feet. That's a total of 400 square feet. This entire first floor is protected by 11 sprinklers. Now, let's go upstairs. A single sprinkler will protect an average-sized bedroom. Now, this entire second floor is covered by 15 of these sidewall sprinklers. These wall-mounted sprinklers are used to avoid placing pipes in the unfinished attic. That's important in this house because we're in the Midwest, where freezing is a concern. In homes with finished attics, or in regions where freezing is not a concern, concealed ceiling sprinklers can be mounted with pipes going through the attic. If you need to install ceiling-mounted sprinklers in attics that are subject to freezing, the pipes must be insulated. NFPA 13D provides guidance on insulation and freeze protection. For standalone systems, NFPA 13D provides for the option to use antifreeze. In these situations, two additional things are important: proper backflow protection and ongoing maintenance of the antifreeze solution. In general, fire sprinkler systems require very little maintenance. The sprinklers themselves require none at all. The most important thing is to make sure that the flow switch and water flow alarms remain operable. The system should be tested every year. Testing can be easily done by the homeowner or the sprinkler contractor. Fire sprinkler systems can be roughed in anytime after plumbing and HVAC installation, and trimmed at the same time other contractors are working. Remember, communication and cooperation are the keys to a smooth installation.
We work very closely to coordinate with the other contractors, the plumber, the HVAC contractor, the electrician, the fact that we have to rough our systems in the walls before the drywall goes up. We work closely with the builder to ensure that we deliver a functioning and complete fire sprinkler system in his time frame.
The most important thing you, as a builder or developer, can do is choose a qualified specialist for sprinkler installation. NFPA 13D mandates that fire sprinkler installations should be made only by people knowledgeable and trained in such systems. The fire sprinkler specialist will design an effective and efficient system specifically for the houses you build. There are a wide variety of sprinkler designs available to address the particular needs of your homes. Pitch ceilings, open construction, unusual configurations. Your contractor will offer you design flexibility and adaptability for any style home. The first step a qualified contractor will take is to prepare shop drawings and hydraulic calculations to make sure the system performance will comply with the minimum code requirements. These documents are normally submitted for approval during the permit process. A good contractor can be an important asset in your dealings with fire and water authorities. And remember, it's important to develop this cooperation early on. The payoff for you can be a reduction in land development and construction costs and a smoother process.
When a developer comes in and wants to put sprinklers in a home, we'll do absolutely everything we can to make that cost effective for the developer. Some of the things that we can do is give you credits for fire flow, for fire hydrant placement. We can be creative with our access requirements, and sometimes we can even help you get an increased density for the development you want to do.
Customary trade-up options vary, but they can include street width reduction, lowering the amount of pavement per linear foot of street, longer dead-end streets, and the permitted use of T-turnarounds. Increased street grades and building setbacks, additional units with increases up to 20% not uncommon, elimination of the need to expand water supply, and increased hydrant spacing. According to the Reese Carr report from Scottsdale, Arizona, the final cost of sprinklers, taking into account the savings from trade-ups, was less than $200 per unit. Many communities also offer building code alternatives that might include a reduction in fire-rated wallboard requirements or reduced fire rating standards for masonry walls and doors. The point is, your residential sprinkler costs can be substantially offset or reduced. Your bottom line won't suffer. Another sprinkler benefit your sales force can pass along to your customers is long-term cost savings.
The first and most important benefit is the life safety. They'll be able to get out of the house safely. The second benefit, which is important to all customers today, is to keep their costs down, and they'll be given discounts that will be able to reduce their premiums.
My insurance company's already given me a discount for having the system, so I feel good.
I hope this program has helped answer your questions about home fire sprinklers. We've given you the facts and dispelled some of the myths.
Unless you're looking for them, you don't notice them. Matter of fact, we've had people here and we've talked about having a sprinkler system and they can't tell where it is.
You have a roof, why wouldn't you have a sprinkler system? You're putting in windows, why don't you put in a sprinkler system? You have a floor, why wouldn't you put in a sprinkler system? In other words, it is such an integral part of a solid, safe structure, you can hardly do without it.
Here's a recap of the key points to remember about home fire sprinklers. First, Follow the requirements of the National Consensus Standard published by the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA 13D. Second, choose a qualified contractor experienced with residential fire sprinkler systems. Third, work with local fire officials before beginning the project to establish all requirements and discuss trade-ups. Fourth, work with local water officials to ensure proper water tap and meter sizes. The Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition website is your resource for information on residential fire sprinklers. Go to www.homefiresprinkler.org and click on Building Professionals. Your customers want the protection fire sprinklers afford. You can provide them with greater safety and higher home value, all the while doing good for your community and well for yourself. Install home fire sprinklers in the homes you build and save lives one family at a time. Thank you for watching.